Hey, good morning. What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Today is Friday, December 21st, 2018. And this is First Cup. My name's Jeremy. And this is my first cup of coffee. Coffee's so delicious. All right, couple things. So first, today is the final day of the last minute sale that no matter what you do, you will have a very slim chance of getting anything that you order today in time for Christmas giving. But some of you out there are buying things for yourselves, so maybe you'll buy something for yourself. $40 off, $50 or more with the code LASTMINUTE18. And you could pick up one of our brandy new black uniforms. Everything from our white uniform, but black. Yeah. Let's see. Anything I want to tell you about those? No. The uniform is a slimmer cut. It's based on an Okinawan pattern. So if you are a broader chested individual or broader shouldered, or let's face it, you got a belly, you might have to size up a little bit more than you're used to. But look at the size chart. People aren't reading the size chart. They're getting the wrong size. Driving me crazy. Anyway, today, what are we talking about today? It's Friday. I want to talk about going back to bed, but that's not an option because there's stuff to do. There's a lot of stuff to do. Okay. I got this. Okay. So, growth. I want to talk about growth. Personal growth, martial arts growth. You know, when we think about growth, improvement, getting better, we're certainly not talking about height. At least, I'm not talking about height. Because if I knew how to get taller, I would have done that. But we're talking about becoming better. And whether we're talking about becoming better at martial arts or as a human being, it's challenging. One of my favorite sayings is that you can't have growth without change. Which means that people that fear and resist change are committed to not growing. They will not get better. And I'm sure you know people like that. Hopefully, you aren't one of those people, but you might be. I know plenty of people who get into a routine and wake up and it's 20 years later, they're doing the same thing. They're hanging out with the same people, they're going to the same places, they're at the same job, and they wonder why their life hasn't gotten any better. Because they haven't grown, because they haven't created the space for that growth to happen. Growth doesn't have to happen all at once. In fact, it probably shouldn't. Yeah, you have these moments in time when big things happen, big things change, but most of the time that growth is incremental, just like when we're training in martial arts. You don't go in and all of a sudden you shift from being a blue belt to a black belt. There's a lot of steps in between. There's a lot of lessons you have to learn, a lot of things you got to screw up, so you can find the right way to do certain things. And the same is true outside of your training. It takes time, and it takes incremental progress. But there's always a but. The difference between growth inside your training and outside your training is that inside your training, you usually have someone leading you, coaching you along, helping you to see the mistakes that you're making. We pay that person or people for the privilege of learning from them. But outside of training, most of us don't have people that we trust and respect that much. In fact, quite a few of us actively resist the help and assistance that other people would offer. And that's silly. Just because someone offers you advice doesn't mean you have to take it. And it doesn't mean what you are doing is wrong. It could just mean that there's another way to consider it. And maybe, just maybe, that way is a better way for you based on your goals. See, to me, growth comes back to goals. Growth is the ability to move towards whatever you're trying to get to, whatever you're trying to get out of life. If you want to get stronger, you have to change the way you incorporate resistance training into your life. If you want to get a better job, you have to potentially change your skill set, or at the very least change what you do. And that change is scary to a lot of people. But on the flip side, change for the sake of change isn't usually a good thing. You've got to have an idea of what's going to serve you. Now, just as we know people who refuse to change, we know people who change constantly. They change everything they do every 3 to 6 months because it's going to be better. But it's not better. Because what are they not doing? They're not being intelligent or intentional with what that change is, with what is hopefully going to be that growth. And they flounder. I know people like this. And it's very frustrating to talk to them because they're always excited. They always see the opportunity, but somehow they never follow through. And usually it's because they change again too soon. When we think about growth as incremental progress, yeah, it's these really small steps, but those really small steps have to happen over and over and over again. It would be like getting new shoes, going for a walk, and expecting that you're going to crush your record marathon time after walking for an hour. You're not walking 26 miles in an hour. Sure, maybe you have to start by walking those 26 miles, but it's going to take you a long time to get there. And then when you're done, you're going to have to do it again and again and again and again. And that's why people give up. Because walking 26 miles or doing anything else that really matters, that's difficult, takes time, takes effort. And a lot of people get bored. Now, the people who aren't willing to stick it out, they're going to get another pair of shoes. The people who don't like to change, they're just going to keep plodding along, walking around their neighborhood in their old shoes. Because, hey, they fit. Why not? But then those of us that are kind of in the middle, those of us who are willing to adjust our routine, doesn't have to be a big change, but intelligently find a new space, a new way to do something, we'll walk that marathon, and then we'll walk it a little faster, and then ultimately we're running it. And for some of us who are really dedicated to the growth that comes in life, we're sprinting that marathon. And that's really where we get better. It's identifying what you want to do, breaking down how to get there, and committing to it. There's nothing I've ever done in life that came as easy as I wanted it to, or as easy as I thought it would be. Nothing worth having is easy. Because if it was easy, everyone would do it, and you probably wouldn't want to have it. Whether that's growth in your personal relationships or your career, your health, or hopefully your martial arts, you have to adjust something that you're doing to get a different result. If you go to class twice a week and you train at 80%, and that's all you do, you're going to reach a ceiling. There's going to come a point where you don't get any better. Now, depending on your school, that might be enough to progress to whatever your goal is. But I don't know anyone who's ever earned their black belt who did not train outside of classes. That growth that's required for black belt requires you to invest a fair amount of time to be dedicated. And if you take that mindset, and if you've already earned a black belt, you know what I'm talking about. If you take that mindset and you bring it outside of your training and you apply it to life, there's nothing that you can't accomplish. I often reflect on my black belt test, my first one. That was the hardest one. And say, you know what, if I can do that, I can do this or this other thing. Because the path forward, the growth, is the same. Just keep chugging along, keep practicing, keep getting better. And sometimes, a couple weeks before the test, you gotta turn up the intensity. That's what goes on for me with whistlekick, with personal relationships, with the self-growth that I've got going on. This show. So my challenge to you today is to identify one thing in and out of martial arts that you want to grow with. Maybe it's a technique, maybe it's a form, maybe it's flexibility. And then outside, something else. Get better at something, to grow at something. And figure out what it is you have to do it. And then do it. Commit to doing it. Write it down that you're going to do it. Write it down that as if you have done it, and read it to yourself every day, ideally out loud. And I think you'll be surprised at how quickly you accomplish it. All right, last day for the sale. 40% off, $50 or more. Code lastminute18, at whistlekick.com. Check that out. Got a bunch of stuff at Amazon. Honestly, if you want last minute stuff, that's going to be the fastest way to get it. You do that $3.99 overnight shipping. I hope you have a great day. I will see you back here on Monday. Have a great weekend. Take care. Peace.